What would you do if a 90-minute flight took only 47? If you flew into a cloud and emerged in another time, another place? For one pilot, this wasn't a theory. It was his terrifying reality. A reality lived in the epicenter of aviation's greatest mystery, the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is a place surrounded by mystery, and the theories related to this mystical area are fueled by scientists and nightmares alike, born from tragedies and disappearances that defy all explanation in this small area stretching between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Over the decades, approximately 2,000 people have died due to their ships sinking, and over 200 people have lost their lives after their planes crashed inexplicably or simply disappeared. The first to discover that something was wrong with this area was Christopher Columbus in 1492, who noticed that his compass did not work in this area. Since then, many bizarre events have happened here, including the flight of Bruce Gernon on December 4, 1970, at the age of 20. Bruce already had approximately 600 flight hours and was very familiar with flights between Florida and the Bahamas. However, no amount of experience could have prepared him for the nightmare that would haunt him for the rest of his life. On December 4, 1970, Bruce, his father, and an associate of theirs boarded the plane owned by Bruce immediately after takeoff. At an altitude of 400 meters, the man noticed an unusual cloud about 1,500 meters in front of him. He had no choice but to go through it. Everything ended well. After exiting the cloud, Bruce thought the flight would be normal, considering the weather was forecast to be very good, and yet, the ordeal for him was just beginning. Once he reached an altitude of 3,500 meters, Bruce noticed a second black cloud, but this time it seemed much larger than the first, and he didn't understand how it could have appeared in the sky as the atmospheric conditions were not favorable for such phenomena. The man realized once again that he would have to fly through this cloud to be able to reach his destination. From this moment on, things began to degenerate for Bruce. The cloud grew larger and larger, and the man realized it was about 30 kilometers long. Considering his aircraft could reach a maximum speed of 290 kilometers per hour, Bruce realized he would have to fly for a good while inside this cloud with very low visibility. The only source of light, according to Bruce, was sharp, electric-white flashes of lightning that only deepened his terror. Initially, the pilot thought he could avoid this cloud and fly around it, but he realized it was impossible. After spending about 50 kilometers inside it, constantly avoiding lightning that passed very close to the plane, Bruce saw the light at the end of the tunnel. He managed to exit the cloud safely and see the sun. But the strangest things that happened to him on December 4th were just beginning. Shortly after, he realized it was the same cloud he had initially encountered. Bruce immediately contacted air traffic controllers via radio to find out his exact position. The air traffic controller initially said the plane was no longer on the radar, but later realized the plane was already over the city of Miami and transmitted this information. Bruce couldn't believe it. He insisted it had to be a mistake, considering he had taken off only 34 minutes earlier. A normal flight between Miami and Puerto Rico would have taken 90 minutes. It was physically impossible for Bruce to be there in such a short time. 13 minutes later, Bruce landed the plane at the Miami, Florida airport and, looking at his watch, realized the flight had taken a total of 47 minutes. The distance between Puerto Rico and Miami is 400 kilometers, and the maximum speed of Bruce's aircraft was 290 kilometers per hour, as I mentioned. If we do a simple calculation, we realize that this flight could not have taken less than 75 minutes. Bruce also realized that only half of the fuel needed for such a flight had been consumed. From this moment on, Bruce Gernon asked himself many questions to understand how he could have passed through that mysterious cloud in just a few minutes, and how he simply managed to unwittingly break the laws of physics. I covered 160 kilometers of space in less than 3 minutes, Bruce said sometime after the incident. Bruce blamed everything that happened on a UFO he claims to have seen a few months before the mysterious flight. Gernon said that what pulled him into that cloud was the same force that swallowed others into the black hole of the Bermuda Triangle, but he believes he was lucky to get out of that death zone alive. For example, 5 US military planes disappeared during a training mission in a strong storm in 1945. The most logical explanation for this disappearance is that the compass of the lead pilot, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, malfunctioned. But in fact, this statement is not true because not only did Captain Taylor's compass malfunction, but so did his co-pilots, and when the control tower contacted them, they both declared their compasses were spinning wildly, without reason. Another equally bizarre incident was the one involving the ship Cotopaxi on November 29, 1925. This ship was leaving South Carolina with Havana, Cuba as its destination. 2 days after its departure, the ship disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. The ship had simply vanished, leaving no wreckage, no lifeboats, no trace of its existence, and for 95 years, neither lifeboats nor bodies from this ship were found. In conclusion, the Bermuda Triangle is a place where paranormal events are a very common thing, but few were as lucky as Bruce to return and tell their tale. The others, they simply became another file in the endless case of this cursed triangle.